Hey everybody, welcome back to Going for Two with Jack Taylor. My name is Jack Taylor.
My name's Hunter too.
And we are pumped to bring you another week of college football. We are here to review the Southeastern Louisiana game from last week, as well as preview the Arizona game that's happening this Saturday. We wanted to just go ahead and throw out that our format is going to change a little bit during SEC play. That's when we're going to go towards that like 2 episodes per week system that we've kind of done the past couple of years. So while we're in these non-conference games, we don't really want to fool with multiple episodes in a week. So we're going to cram a lot of information in this one, but we're excited to have you guys here to listen along. First, we want to start this off the way that we have always done here at Going for Two. We want to start off with motivation, but as we've started doing in this new age of artificial intelligence, we're letting them do the writing during the writer's strike, at least. So I'm going to start this off. Hunter, do we want to tell them what the prompt was, or just let it fly?
I'll put the prompt right here.
Okay.
It was create a motivational speech for head coach Zach Arnett to the team about keeping him as the only active coach in SEC history to be undefeated going into the Arizona game. Make call-outs to performances of players that are new to the team this year.
That's important to note, I think.
Yeah.
New to the team. So let's get started. So, hello Bulldogs. I'm proud of you all for starting the season with a dominant win over Louisiana Tech. You showed the nation that Mississippi State football is all about toughness, discipline, and execution. But we can't rest on our laurels. We have a big challenge ahead of us this week. We are facing a Pac-12 opponent, the Arizona Wildcats, who are coming off of a blowout win over Northern Arizona. Keep in mind, Arizona did play Northern Arizona, just in case you were wondering. They're hungry for a signature win, and they think they can get it by beating us on our home turf. Well, I'm here to tell you that we're not going to let that happen. Who's going to defend our house and show them who's the boss? We have a lot of reasons to be confident about this game. We have one of the best defenses in the country, led by our senior linebacker, Jaden Crumity, who had 2 sacks and a forced fumble last week. Not true. Our secondary is locked down, with Emmanuel Forbes and Fred Peters making plays all over the field. Our D-line is relentless, with Nate Pickering and Randy Charlton creating havoc in the backfield. We're going to make life miserable for their quarterback and their running backs, and we're not going to give up any big plays. On offense, we have a dynamic duo at quarterback, Will Rogers and Sawyer Robertson, sharing snaps. They have both great arm talent and decision-making, and they can run the ball when needed. Really? They have a plethora of weapons at their disposal. Jaden Wally, Makai Polk, Malik Heath, and Dylan Johnson and Jaquavius Marks at running back. Our offensive line is solid, with Charles Cross anchoring the left tackle spot and Cam Jones stepping up at right guard. We're going to move the ball at will against their defense, and we're going to score touchdowns in the red zone. Such a specific goal. We have a lot of talent on this team, but talent alone is not enough. We have to play as a team with passion and purpose. We have to play smart with no turnovers or penalties. We have to play hard with no quit or complacency. And we have to play for each other, for our coaches, for our fans, and for our state. We have to play for Coach Leach, who gave us the opportunity and believed in us. He's watching over us from above, and he's cheering us on. I didn't read that part early on. Wow. We have a chance to make history this week. We can be the first Mississippi State team to start 2-0 since 2017. Is that true?
That cannot be true.
I think that's a flat-out lie. We can be the first SEC team to beat Arizona since 2014, which isn't true. And we can make me the only coach in SEC history to be undefeated going into my 3rd game. This is like 800 lies and no truth. Wow. But none of that matters if we don't take care of business on Saturday. We have to focus on the task at hand and not look ahead or behind. We have to prepare well during the week and execute well on game day. We have to play Bulldog football. So let's go out there and do it, Bulldogs. Let's go out there and make a statement. Let's go out there and beat Arizona. Hail State. So, yeah, AI is not taking over the world anytime soon.
I do want to see if Arizona lost to an SEC team in 2014, because I think they were really good.
I mean, was that like Khalil Tate territory?
It was right before, I think.
Okay. Well, anyway, while Hunter researches that, or maybe not,
They did
we're gonna
not
look.
play an SEC team. They went 10-4.
Yeah. Well, there you go. AI wrong again. Imagine that. So yeah, we really need our writers to get off the strike so we can have some better motivation. But until then, that's what you got. So as we look back at college football last week, obviously Mississippi State won. We're going to talk about that game in not too much detail, but we'll mention a few things. But we do want to talk about the big talking points from the weekend. So why don't you get us started with what was honestly the most fun game of the weekend?
Yeah. Iowa scored 24 points. That's one off of Brian Ferentz's number that he has to get to. So that was a really big offensive explosion right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I watched this weekend.
Well, I'm very sorry. I got to watch Colorado versus TCU, and it was incredible. So Dion makes a big splash in his first game in the Power Five. Colorado, who was, I mean, probably looking back, should not have been a 17-point or 21-point underdog, whatever it was, against a TCU team that
was returning two starters.
Right, and kind of frauded their way into the national championship anyway. But anyway, so yeah, Deion Sanders and his team of transfers get it done. Travis Hunter kind of steals the show, being a two-way player, playing at wide receiver and at cornerback. He had like 11 receptions for over 100 yards on offense, and then several pass breakups and an interception, a crazy interception that, I mean, just at a super clutch moment. Had a touchdown also that was called back. That was an incredible play too. So Travis Hunter is on Heisman list all around college football right now, and rightfully so. I mean, it was an incredible game. TCU is not the best team that Colorado is going to play this year, but it is a crazy first win for them.
Yeah. The Pac-12 is the best this
year.
Yeah. And their going away year, like Cal is boring. That's
and they're gonna beat Auburn this weekend.
Yeah, like Stanford's kind of fun right now. I don't know what's happening. Shadur Sanders probably coming into this year, maybe 8th best quarterback in the Pac-12 preseason. You know,
Mm-hmm.
He went 510 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Dang. That's crazy.
It is his first Power 5 game, which is just wild.
Yeah, he had an interview where he was comparing FBS to FCS, which he's only played one FBS game, so take that for what it's worth. But he said, like, the main difference is, when you scramble out of the pocket. In FBS games, they just get to you faster. So he did have, I think I saw
5 sacks.
Yeah, it was like negative 32 rushing yards. Where, I mean, I'm sure that in games at Jackson State, that could have been triple digits for him, just from being able to escape the pocket. But yeah, still threw for over 500 yards even with that issue. So yeah, this Colorado thing might get fun. Who knows? Who knows how it goes? Next up, we had a couple of upsets. Do you want to talk about those? Because I didn't watch either of these games.
Yeah, I didn't watch this first one because I didn't know it was occurring. Texas State and TJ Finley take down the fighting Dave Arandas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty funny. My team from 2020.
Yeah.
As you remember, what was the quarterback's name that I really liked?
I can't remember, but you played with him on NCAA a lot?
Yeah, and now TJ Finley's there on his third team. I think he might still be a freshman, so that's pretty neat. What's going on with Baylor? No one really knows.
Yeah,
bad week for Texas teams because Wyoming over Texas Tech. I didn't know that it was a thing that you don't want to play at Wyoming, but at Wyoming looks so cool.
If Mississippi State ever schedules that, I'm gonna be crying because that's
Wyoming.
Maybe going, but it seems like a pretty certain loss. Yeah.
Both of those were fun. I enjoyed those.
Right. Moving on to the game that was on Sunday night, which took a lot of people by surprise. Florida State just dominates LSU in the second half, winning 45-24. LSU did get a late, long touchdown to make it 45-24. It was 45-17, and before that, and it was just LSU kind of set the tone early in the game, had a long drive to the goal line, and then just get stuffed on 4th and goal. That was a really weird way to start the game, but it just kind of was an omen for later in the game. Just Florida State and remind me the Michigan State transfer that kind of popped off. Coleman was his last name.
Coleman.
Yeah, man. It was like every time I looked at the screen, he was making some crazy acrobatic catch, and it was a huge play every time. And then also Jordan Travis, just making an early case for the Heisman, and Jaden Daniels not doing so.
You know who you didn't see like the entire game?
Who's that?
Harold Perkins.
Who's Harold Perkins?
The fantastic defensive end for linebacker for LSU last year, where last year they told him go get the quarterback, and he did, and now they have him over there covering flats.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, he made no impact on the game, it seemed like. But LSU's pass rush was kind of terrifyingly good.
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't one of those games where I see LSU lose and then I'm just immediately confident that we can beat them, because every way that Florida State was attacking them, I'm not sure that we have the capability to attack them that way.
Like
so
Jordan Travis roll out to the right and make something happen was the game.
I mean, I know
until the end.
I'm sure we have receivers that can make acrobatic catches, but Keon Coleman just seemed like a different animal in this game. So
can't do the reverses, little stuff in the backfield against LSU.
Right. We don't need to line up Will at wide receiver against LSU. I'm going to go ahead and call it now. Yeah. And then just to cap off week 1, on Monday night we saw Duke beat Clemson 28-7, and Dabo Swinney, he thought that getting a new offensive coordinator was the equivalent of using the transfer portal. So that got stuffed real quick.
What happened to Clemson having good players?
Well, they don't build a program off NIL, Hunter.
Not NIL, how you'd be thinking about it.
God's name, God's image, and God's likeness. That's what Dabo Swinney said. Hey.
He did say if players ever got paid, he was going to quit coaching. Is Dabo quiet quitting?
Maybe. I hate to be the one to point this out, but they did get beat by the Devils in the first game of the season. So
Duke needs better looking uniforms.
Yeah, the helmets are brutal. I did not like them. So yeah, really cool field storming from Duke, and the quarterback didn't get an extension on his homework. So there you go. He was a terrible professor. All right, so moving on to our review of the Southeastern Louisiana game. Like I said, we're not going to go into too much detail. Just have a few points for each side of the ball. I'll point out some things for the defense, and I'll let you take over the offense. But defensively, I think they looked really solid. I mean, the long scoring drive kind of put a bad taste in everybody's mouth, even leaving the game. That's really all that a lot of people could think about. It was one scoring drive that was it was like 16 or 18 plays or something like that. It just drove all the way down the field. Somewhere in the middle of that, they converted a 3rd and 20 because of several missed tackles on the play on a screen pass. Since that, or after that drive, one possession in the first half and then the rest of the second half, Southeastern Louisiana had 7 drives for a total of 59 yards, 3 first downs, and they did not score a single point the rest of the way. So final score was 48-7. Defensively, I mean, got pressure on the quarterback enough, had 3 sacks, got a fumble recovery in there. Buki Watson had the first Bulldog turnover of the year. And just two guys I wanted to point out. I just mentioned Mookie Watson, but Nathan Pickering just looked like a menace. It's truly the best that I've ever seen him. And I know it was against an FCS team, but he was just constantly wreaking havoc on Southeastern Louisiana. And I wasn't sure it was even going to show up in the stat sheet. It did in the form of quarterback hurries, but even when he wasn't getting sacks, he was disruptive. He was disruptive. So I was really proud of him. Jet Johnson, another big name that we had coming back. Gets a lot of tackles, and he's going to continue that this year just by being in the right place at the right time.
He's a hard worker.
Just a hard worker. Yeah, he did look really slow, but somehow forced 2 fumbles in this game. So got to give him credit for that. But yeah, that's what I had defensively. Thought they looked really good. Made a really good adjustment after the long drive, and I thought they were solid. So, what you got offensively?
Offense.
Or did you have anything to add defense?
Not really. I want to see more from our defensive backs. I just have no clue who's good right now, based on that game. So, I think Arizona will be a pretty good gauge of that.
I feel like they will be. They're going to pose a brand new challenge for us in the form of a quarterback that doesn't have cement bricks for his feet, because there was no mobility in the backfield for Southeast Louisiana at all.
On the broadcast, they were talking about how Southeastern quarterback was good.
I didn't see it.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. One more thing I did notice, me and my father-in-law, we were keeping track of where Arnett was during the game, and I think they might have touched on this in the broadcast. Arnett was very, very hands-on, especially in the signaling of plays to the defense. Matt Brock was 40 yards down the field behind the defense, which I thought was weird, but I guess that's just where he gets the best view of what he needs to see. He was calling the plays, Arnett was signaling them in, and I just thought that was a weird way for a head coach to be involved in a game, but old habits die hard, I guess. So.
Brock will probably move up to the press box.
You think?
Yeah, I'd assume.
Is Barbe up there?
No, he wasn't either. But they made it a point that they talked about where they were going to be, so I'm assuming they're going to be in the press box later this year.
Okay, gotcha. I just thought it was funny seeing Arnett out there, but anyway.
How else are we going to get gifts out of him?
How else is he going to announce that we have a recruit?
Yeah. I guess the offense. We finally got to see the Barbe offense. Woody looked really good. 186 total yards and 2 touchdowns. That was cool. Hope he keeps that up all year. 'Cause he'll make money if that's the case.
Right.
I thought he was running really aggressive. Showed good hands out of the backfield. He always has. He's been kind of saving our offense for a while at this point.
Yeah.
Which really kind of goes untalked about. And then my player of the week, Creed, is it Whittemore?
Whittemore is what we're going with, yeah.
Okay, sorry for saying Whitmore.
Yeah. How are we supposed to know?
I
want to be first. I want to be first on the nickname train. Number 85, white guy from last year. Austin Williams was old reliable. Creed Whittemore is new reliable. That's what I'm going with. Until anything better happens.
Yeah. Maybe. Creed had 116 total yards and 2 touchdowns. This was actually his first game ever as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's.
So was he a Wildcat quarterback? Do you know?
He was just a quarterback.
Okay, I wasn't sure what kind of offense he was running, but I remember when he signed as an athlete. He didn't sign as a quarterback, so I figured there was something they were using him for. I didn't know if they were going to try to make him a defensive back or what was going to happen, but he seems to have found his niche right here at wide receiver. And
he was bigger than I thought.
Yeah, he really was. He had really good size, but he proved them. He earned those 4 stars that he had. Creed Whittemore is a stud, and I don't know if last week it was the intention to just have him play because it was a Southeastern Louisiana and because you can play 4 games and not burn your red shirt or something.
Oh,
But
he's not gonna redshirt.
he's not going to red shirt. No, if there was any question of that, there's not anymore. So yeah,
Yeah. I guess next, Will was fine. Only thing,
but that's a bold take.
yeah, like he
A
was,
lot of people hated Will on Saturday for some reason.
he went 20 for 29. Around 2 of those weren't really his fault. That one over the middle that he missed to Freddie. I think that may have been Freddie's fault, not getting his head around fast enough.
Yeah.
So
There was one like deep shot to I think Justin Robinson, right before the deep shot to Creed Whittemore. That I mean it was simply just an overthrow, but
um, yeah, he was fine. One thing, when we bring, I guess this will kind of go into Mike Wright. Mike Wright's fun. Didn't see him throw the ball. Didn't see him hand the ball off. We saw Mike Wright run the ball.
For almost 100 yards.
It's so weird that last year we were talking about, wow, Vanderbilt has a fun quarterback now, this time, and now he's just like our little gadget quarterback.
Yeah.
Um,
I love this life I live.
yeah, 5 rushes, 95 yards. Wild. Was really close to another one breaking for a long run.
Yeah. Had a little shoestring tackle.
He's fast.
Yeah.
He's like,
I saw him just like on a sprint down the sideline in pregame and was like, that just looked different than anything I've seen, especially from a quarterback in the last ever.
it's really weird. Like
Nick Fitzgerald was slow fast. Like
Mike doesn't even look slow.
I don't even know that Nick Fitzgerald even picked up steam. He just like ran with no acceleration, just started at one speed, stayed that same speed, and nobody could keep up with him for some reason. Mike Wright is like actually has speed. I don't.
The feet are moving. Everything's going.
Yeah.
It's weird. The one thing with Mike Wright, I could do without. I understand why Will would be in formation at the same time. It's so the other team can't do their little substitutions, but like, hey, look, it's the other quarterback is only in the game right now. Let's, sell out for the run. But on the other hand, I could do without Will being over there as wide receiver. And you may ask, hey, what if we want to do a double pass? Don't do that with Will Rogers.
I don't trust him to catch a snap and make a pass a lot of times.
Let's be real. I think we have 3 wide receivers that played quarterback their entire high school career.
Yeah. And if you're going to throw from one quarterback to another, throw to Mike Wright.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the obvious choice here.
Yeah. So don't do that. Like, if that's what we're setting up here for, don't do it. Barbet, we have a history of being right on these things, especially with baseball. So we'll see how it is with football. But please do not count on throwing the ball to Will. I'm sure you're very smart, and it's about the formation issues, so the defense can't make the substitutions. But
yeah,
I would enjoy not throwing the ball to Will.
Right.
That is my bold take here.
All right. And with this new offense, we also saw the return of the tight end position. We transitioned Antonio Harmon to the tight end job, but also brought in Rylan Godey and Jaquavius Spivey, who had the issue with the NCAA that is yet to be resolved. How did those guys look the other day? Godey and Harmon.
Harmon looked good. He looked like a big wide receiver playing tight end.
Yeah.
So he didn't make great blocks. Had some opportunities to really spring some plays, like that one earlier from Mike Wright, and just didn't. But he looked athletic, like really athletic at tight end. Ryland, he's out there for for sure.
He's getting that degree, baby.
Hopefully he'll get better. Maybe he was just knocking off the rust.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been sitting on the sidelines for 4 years, so it's probably difficult to transition back to being on the field. But
Imagine if we tried to go play tight end.
Who do you think would be better? Just two unique skill sets.
Me and you are just like Ryland and Antonio Harmon. I'm just like Harmon.
I'm just going to take that opportunity to move on to special teams. This week, I mean, punt returns weren't normal last week because Xavier Thomas was just nursing an injury, and he will be back on Saturday. So we're not even going to talk about that. Our kickoffs did not go into the end zone. We didn't have any touchbacks, but our kick coverage was incredible. But the main thing from special teams was that true freshman Kyle Ferry was 2 for 2 on field goals, 49 yards and 47 yards. So not exactly chip shots. 6 for 6 on extra points, and he was actually the SEC Freshman of the Week, not SEC Special Teams Player of the Week, which would make sense. SEC Freshman of the Week, so that's pretty special for him.
Did he rob Creed this award?
Yeah, I don't know how Creed didn't like it co-Freshman of the Week. I don't understand that.
Just move the kicker.
Right, I don't get it.
Kicker of the Week.
But Cal Ferry on the one right before the half, actually, I think was the 49-yarder. He missed the first attempt, but he got iced, so he got a second shot at it, and I legitimately think it would have been good from like 55 or 56 yards. He booted the second one, so really good job from him. And if that becomes a consistent thing, that's going to be a huge part of this team because there have been several times in the past decade that we've lost games at the last second just because of an inability to make field goals, and he hasn't had a chance.
Back at the first half and being like, "Wow, I wish we had those 5 points there."
Right.
This field goal and 2 extra points, like that's not a wild thought for Mississippi State.
Yeah. So I know he hasn't had a big game opportunity to do it at the end of a game, so we'll see. I mean, if he's clutch, but field goal at the end of a half when you're playing a close game against an FCS team is pretty nerve-wracking, I would assume, especially as a true freshman who was kicking at Arkansas High School last year. So, anyway, that is going to do it for the Southeastern Louisiana review, and we're going to move into the Arizona preview. We saw this team last year, and they were not a very good team. They finished the year 5-7. And a huge part of their lack of success was just a really bad defense. Their offensive weapons are still there. I think they have the same core, 2 really good wide receivers and a quarterback kind of, at the core of that offense. So I'll mention these wide receivers, and Hunter, I want you to tell us about the quarterback. So Jacob Cowing, we saw him last year. He spent his first couple years in college at UTEP and has transferred to Arizona for these last 2 years, coming off of back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and he has 21 career touchdowns. Last year, when Mississippi State played them, he caught 8 passes for 46 yards. I remember hearing his name coming into that game. He had a really good game against San Diego State before they played us last year, and 8 catches is nothing to scoff at, but I think our secondary limited what he did after the catch pretty well. The next guy I want to talk about is Tetaroa McMillan. He had 700 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. And was that who Forbes was matched up with last year for the most part?
I believe so.
Okay. Jacob Cowling was the big name going into it, but Tetaroa McMillan, I think, was a true freshman last year. So drawing Emmanuel Forbes is a pretty big deal. He had 4 catches for 69 yards last year against State. Last weekend had 3 catches for 65 yards, so got off to a pretty good start as they beat Northern Arizona. Those 2 guys are probably going to be the 2 that you hear their name the most from the wide receiver position, at least. Let's talk about the guy that's going to be getting them the ball.
Yeah, Jaden DeLaura. I've been trying to come up with who he is. Watching the Florida State game, I was like, okay, maybe he's like just a not very good Jordan Travis.
Yeah,
and that kind of makes sense for me. Because Jordan Travis does the same thing where make an awesome escape and then throw a stupid pass for no reason. But then Jordan Travis backs that up with 70-yard touchdown. Jaden DeLaura, he's kind of that same scrambling threat as like Bryce Young was.
Yeah.
Where it's really hard to get him down, doesn't really want to run.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be our, obviously, if you looked at the quarterbacks last week, it'll be our first look at a mobile quarterback this season. But mobile, he had 122 rushing yards last year. I'm not sure what that is sack adjusted. I'm assuming that's pretty bad.
Yeah, he gets sacked like over 20 times, so it's...
And he kind of does the run back thing.
Right.
So he could have rushed for like 800 yards.
Right.
Hit 3,600 passing yards last season, 25 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Last week he had 1 fumble and 1 interception. So our guy seems to be back.
Right. Yeah.
I like Jade. I like him.
Yeah. The fun storyline last year was that he was a Washington State guy, and it was like right when he got there, Mike Leach left. So him getting an opportunity to play against Mike Leach was like a revenge game, but he didn't make the most of it. So, this is a revenge game in another way from losing last year, and they're just trying to prove that they are a better team. And a big way that they've improved over the last over the off season was obviously through the transfer portal, and it was really on the defensive side. Their rush defense was really bad last year. Just defense in general. I just looked at some numbers from last year. They gave up 37 points a game, which is horrible. 470 yards a game, which again is horrible. And they ranked in total defense. They ranked 126th out of 131 FBS defenses. So any improvement at all would be just welcome for their defensive side. So they got six big transfers that I've read about. 2 transferred linebackers, a 5-star from Oregon, a 4-star from Washington, 2 transfer defensive ends, a 3-star from Michigan, and a 4-star from Cal, and then 2 transfer defensive tackles, a 4-star from Georgia, and a 4-star from UCLA. So and all 6 of these guys had an immediate impact. They all put up good numbers against Northern Arizona last week. So, at least against an FCS team, that new transfer core kind of meshed together. But it just like every level of their defense got better. I guess it's not hard to improve from 126 out of 131. But
it'd actually be quite hard
to get worse. Yeah. But last week they allowed just 3 points in the game, which is vastly better than their season low for points given up last year, which was 20 to San Diego State. So, didn't give up a touchdown, which for that defense last year, that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. So, expect their defense to be better. But we have a lot of our offensive core back as well. So,
if this defense is an issue, there's trouble.
Right. I'm just thinking about the defensive front we're going to face. I heard Robbie and Hayden talking about it. Like it's easily like the 8th best you're going to face. It may be even worse than that. So, it needs to be a pretty seamless transition from the Southeastern Louisiana to the Arizona game. And if it's not, you have some things to worry about. I believe Arizona is going to be a better team than they were last year, which could be scary because we didn't have this game locked up until about midway through the fourth quarter of last year. So if we don't improve alongside them, then this could be a bad weekend for us. Anything else we got?
There's a few things we can talk about here. Do you want to talk about the graphic that was deleted?
I'll let you take that one.
Well, I didn't see this one when it was posted. You were first on the scene. It has Jaquavius Marks. It's an upward angle at him, and he is hurdling a cactus.
Just a phallic cactus
with his hand down. No.
Not me, no sir.
No cactus. The cactus is like on the sideline.
Yeah. Just from the angle you can see the scoreboard behind him.
The angle's all weird. Yeah, that's something. Another thing, how in the world is the crowd's about to be very small for this game?
I don't really know. I remember feeling like the NC State crowd, which this is just what I'm comparing it to because it's a non-conference Power 5 game, but the North Carolina State crowd in 2021 seemed like a really big crowd, but then I think back about it and I was like, that's just because it was coming off of COVID and any crowd seemed like a big one. But I'm not really sure. Like I don't know why this week of all weeks it's just become a topic of people not coming to our games.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I hope we can win this week and then fill it up for LSU, but it shouldn't have to be like basketball.
Yeah. It shouldn't have to be, perfect weather conditions.
It is. It is perfect weather.
I know. But like, if they were trying to give any excuse, like it shouldn't have to be perfect weather conditions. Have us favored to win. Have us like all these perfect conditions. Team. Yeah, like everything's lining up for it to be a packed out crowd. Whether we reach capacity or not, I don't care. I just want it to look full. And yeah, I don't know why. It seems like
student section is going to be there.
Student section was packed until honestly midway through the third quarter of the Southeastern Louisiana game. I was really impressed by that.
Student section's been good the past few years.
Yeah, but I don't know why this has become a topic of concern. Just recently. So, one more thing I had about, and it's less about Arizona, just more about Power 5 home and homes that are becoming more common. I think it became like a mandatory to play a non-conference Power 5 team in 2016. So that's why we've been doing that. Started out with the BYU home and home. We've had Kansas State. Tried to have.
Was your first example a non-Power 5 team?
Well, we had to. It was like something in the rule. Like BYU fit the mold for whatever it was, and then we tried with North Carolina State, but COVID knocked out one of the home and home. So now we have Arizona. So it got me thinking, and I went back and looked all the way until I found one. And the last time that we swept a home and home against a Power 5 team was Texas in 1991, 1992. And I went back. I would have even counted like a Georgia Tech, which obviously Georgia Tech's always been Power 5. But I would have counted like Houston. I would have counted BYU. None of them counted. So that was fun. Hopefully we can do something that hadn't been done since 1991 and 92. And it's also a chance to end our all-time winning record against the Pac-12. Chance to end with an all-time winning record against the Pac-12. We have a 2-2 record against them now with a win against Washington, 2 losses to Oregon, and last year's win against Arizona. That puts us at 2-2. So a win on Saturday would put us over the top, and we would forever have a winning record against the Pac-12. So, yeah, so 2 chances to make history.
Too bad we're going to the playoffs this year to lose to Bo Nix.
I didn't even think about that possibility.
The possibility of us going to the playoffs and Bo Nix also being there?
The possibility of us playing a bowl game against a Pac-12 team. That's just
completely. Or like next year playing against one of the other ones.
that's less likely. But
Fair.
you know, all right. So yeah, I think that's all I have on the Arizona game. We'll give our predictions for it here at the end of our pick'em, but yeah, unless you don't have anything to add, I think that's all I got.
I really don't have anything. This is kind of going to be the learning week.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
Yeah, we'll have more to say about this team. We'll know more, and in the next week, I guess it'll be the week after. We're going to start doing 2 episodes per week. So you'll hear us talk more, and we'll have more to talk about. So anyway, so that's going to bring us to our pick'em. Our standings. We're tied at 7-3. We neither of us picked Colorado, and then what other games did we miss? We missed Clemson and Duke, and then we both lost one game. UNC. Yeah, we didn't post anything about our pick'em. We will be doing that from now on. It just kind of slipped our minds. But Brooks Taylor went ahead and sent his picks in, and he went 8-2. Hunter wants to put a big fat asterisk beside it because he thinks Brooks cheated. So just want to put that out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so Hunter, I just realized we haven't talked about these. So
are we just gonna, the code, just be truthful?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just got a pinky promise, all right?
Pinky promise that this is our takes before we talked about these.
Right.
They're going for two difference.
Mm-hmm. All right. Game number 1, Nebraska at number 22, Colorado. So Deion's first home game as the head coach of Colorado. And they get the fun Nebraska Cornhuskers with Matt Rule in charge. Who's coming out on top in this one?
Nebraska is good enough to lose to anyone by 3.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they're close enough to be in a game in the 4th quarter. And, one time long ago, I saw a team with a new head coach that people doubted for an off season go into another team's stadium that had just won a playoff semi finals game plus maybe another one.
Yeah, that was a brutal reach.
But and then won, and then went against a team the next week that was for the past 4 or 5 years in their conference horrible. And then lose to them. They also that team also had a player.
Nah, bro, who are you picking?
That team also had a player that was like, oh, week 1 Heisman, lock it up. So, with that being said, I will be picking Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Nebraska too. I ain't gonna make you wait for it.
Did I color it too well for you?
Yeah, I saw the vision. I wasn't out of focus.
Like KJ Costello.
Yeah, I loved it. So yeah, I'm picking Nebraska. Matt Rule is going to get his first win as the Nebraska head coach. It's not that I think that Nebraska's good. It's not that I think Nebraska is any better than TCU. Really, I just think that a lot of people
once upon a time saw a team beat a team, won a playoff semi-final, and then did some other stuff.
Right. It's hard for history to repeat itself. So, yeah. Game number 2. Come on. We got number 20 Ole Miss coming off of a huge win against Mercer. And they're going to New Orleans to be at number 24 Tulane.
When they scheduled this, when they scheduled this, do you think they ever thought that, wow, I can't believe the Cotton Bowl champs are going to be here? And it's going to be Tulane.
I do not think they thought that, no. And I don't think that they thought the Cotton Bowl champions also lost to Southern Miss in the same year. So, Who knows what you're going to get with this Tulane team
This
at
Cotton
any
Bowl
point.
champion team beat Big 12 champion.
Yeah.
What a goofy year last year was.
Yeah. All right. So Tulane, I can't pick them. I don't like Ole Miss, obviously, but their offense is gonna eat Tulane alive. And I don't think this game. I mean, it'll be a high scoring game, but I don't think it's gonna be a close game. I think Ole Miss has this one pretty easily.
Going Ole Miss as well.
All right. Game number 3, we have number 23 Texas A&M finishing out the home and home at Miami this year. So played an ugly game last year, and Texas A&M came out on top. But in the battle of two blue bloods, who wins this one, Hunter?
I don't know which of these needs the win more, but Texas A&M's going to have it regardless.
Yeah, I'm picking Texas A&M too. I don't really know what the expectation for Miami is this year, but I'm surprised that there's not a ranking beside their name.
It's kind of shaky.
Yeah. All right. Game number 4, we have Texas State at UTSA. Texas State coming off the win against Baylor. UTSA coming off of the very, very close loss to Houston in Houston's Big 12 opener, or big first game as a Big 12 team. So who do we have in this one?
I'm picking Texas State. Always been a TJ Finley guy.
Yeah.
You can look that up. So,
yeah. Right. Yeah. I think coming off of the win against Baylor, it is going to. I mean, there's a thought of this being kind of a trap game, just going from a Power 5 team to not a Power 5 team.
Maybe better.
Honestly, you're right. I'm going to go Texas State as well. I don't know. That's just who I'd been thinking. So, yeah. Now with game number 5, probably the most anticipated game since this game happened last year. Number 11 Texas travels to Tuscaloosa at number 3 Alabama. College game day is going to be there. Last year we saw Texas just kind of shock everybody, and then when Quinn Ewers got hurt, it just kind of thought there was no chance, and then Hudson Card gave them a chance, and then Alabama wins it at the very end of the game.
Fraudulent calls in this game.
Right.
And some Bryce Young.
Magic. Right.
Call it.
Yeah. I'll go first in this one. I really do want Texas to win it. I think that there is a chance. Texas, I want Texas to be very good. I want them to be good every single year. And it's not one of those things like, oh, college football is just so much better when Texas is good. I just like the look of burnt orange on a football field. I want them to be good at all times. And I want Alabama to lose this game. But that being said, Alabama might win this game by 2 scores. So that's what I'm picking.
I'm going to go Texas here. Sarkisian last year kind of coached the game of his life.
Yeah.
Circumstances made that not really matter. I think he's going to do it again. Yeah.
There you go. All right. You want to do these back half games?
Yeah. Auburn at Cal.
The fun one.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about this one. Because I refuse to. I'm going to go to Cal too because Auburn doesn't have Cam Newton. So I will be going Cal.
They really get... Auburn just gives me nothing to be excited about, and I guess neither does Cal, but I think Cal is trying to... I don't know. I just feel like they're going to win this one. What conference is Cal going to be in next year?
Is Cal the new ACC?
Cal's in the ACC, yeah.
Are they?
Yeah. Cal and Stanford both went there.
Wow. When I think the Atlantic Coast,
I think about getting out of class and going and walking on the beach of the Atlantic Ocean when I'm in California.
At Berkeley.
Yeah, I don't know. I may be thinking too much into their animosity against the Pac-12, but I just think this is a big, like, shove it game to the Pac-12, also to the Big Ten for not wanting them. Why would they want them? I don't know. Yeah, this is just going to be a big prove it game for Cal, and I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a stadium that has a really big loan on it that you feasibly cannot pay back. You know how to not make a difference at all in that? You beat Auburn at home. So good luck, Cal. Pretty sure that's where Oppenheimer was from. Just guessing.
I don't know, something like that.
The next one is Cincinnati Bearcats at Pitt. Who's Pitt's quarterback now?
Oh.
Is it the Boston College guy from like the past 5 years?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah,
you need to ask somebody that has a college football podcast.
Yeah, but it's Pitt.
Yeah.
I have to see if I have the name right because I don't want to be wrong.
Assuming he doesn't do
Phil Jerkovich versus Emory Jones.
Oh, I forgot he was at Cincinnati. Yeah, assuming Pitt's quarterback doesn't do a fake slide and score a touchdown, I'm going to pick Pitt.
This game is also on the CW.
What?
Yeah, ACC x CW.
I hate that.
Yeah, I'm going Emory Jones. No one else on Cincinnati, just Emory Jones.
Oh, there you go.
The next one is SMU. Another one of those Atlantic Coast Conference teams. Dallas is ACC country. At number 18, right. Oklahoma. Oklahoma back. They make Butch Jones cry like a lot. That was kind of rude.
They made him cry by beating him 73-0, I think was the final. Maybe 77.
That's one of the most rude scores I've ever witnessed.
Yeah. Like the 73, I think was the final. That's rude enough. Then you just pan over, you see 0. That's brutal.
And then you pan over and you see Butch Jones. He's been in this for a while.
His players were having to console him and not the other way around, which is
Oklahoma
hilarious.
Even like that? Like
they might lose to SMU. I'm not going to pick them to, but
Butch Jones is 55 years old.
He's coached a lot of football. I wonder how many times he's cried.
That's crazy stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna go Oklahoma here because they made Butch Jones cry.
I will pick Oklahoma every single time the week after they score 73 points. No, not exactly. The week after they win by 73
and
points.
Make Butch Jones cry. Another thing that I forgot when we were doing our game reviews. Everything runs through Lubbock, including Wyoming. So
there you go. And we had to get it in there.
A little joke from last year. Right. Our 9th game is App State at number 17. I guess you can just call them Carolina at this point, right?
Yeah, they earned it.
So, what do you
App State? Yeah, App State. They won the game last year. No, they didn't, right?
No.
North Carolina lost. Is that right?
You're asking the wrong guy. You need to ask someone who has a college football podcast.
I hate you. App State. I mean, they had a crazy game against North Carolina. Regardless of the score,
they lost 61-63. I remember this one.
Right. Okay. And then because then they went on and won in College Station a couple weeks later, and then had College Game Day, and they had to beat Troy on like a last-second play, which was just a crazy three weeks of football. North Carolina opens this one as like a 20-point favorite. I've got to pick North Carolina. I'm not really sure what Appalachian State looks like this year without Kevin Barbay. They had a great year last year, and they're always pesky. But I'm picking Mac Brown.
Mac Brown's mad at the NCAA right now.
Oh no!
Remember when he Just a little thing. Remember when he was complaining about how open the transfer portal was,
Yeah.
and now he's complaining that the transfer portal isn't open? Just a small thing. Hate it for the player that's getting this happening to him, but
Yeah.
my guy. Yeah, I'm going North Carolina.
All right. And that's going to bring us to America's Game of the Week. Arizona traveling to Mississippi State for the second of a home and home. Mississippi State won the game last year, obviously, in, what is it, Tucson? Is that where they are?
You need to ask someone who has an Arizona
I hate
Wildcats podcast.
So yeah, so Mississippi State trying to finish off that home and home sweep. I'm gonna pick Mississippi State in this one. My opinion hasn't changed too much since last week's episode. We had a slower start to the game than we wanted, only scoring 3 points in the first quarter, but winning 48-7 is a pretty dominant win. I don't care if it's an FCS team or not. I was pleased with the way we looked last week. This is our first challenge, and my opinion on this team will be more shaped by what I see this week than last week. So I'm going to pick Mississippi State to win. I think we have. I just think we have better players. I think we're going to get it done. Arizona's a better team than they were last year, but I don't think they're good enough to beat us this year. So.
Yeah. I think Mississippi State's going to win. I guess I'll give my score prediction.
All right. What you got?
Arizona 17. Mississippi State 24. So tight game there.
Okay. I'm gonna say a tight game as well. I'm gonna say 28-24. I don't know. What do you know what the spread is right now?
I think it's 9.
9. Okay. Yeah. I do think Arizona's going to cover. Opened as like a 17-point favorite, which was just ridiculous. I do think that, like I said many times, I think Arizona's an improved team from last year, and Mississippi State might surprise me and win by more. But I think 28-24 is a pretty safe bet. So I say 28-24. You said 24-17. Not sure what those scores are even for. It's just kind of fun to see if we can get it right.
It'd be really cool if we got it
right. All right, and let's do an offensive and defensive player of the week.
Okay.
I'll let you start on offense.
I'm gonna go with this until it doesn't work anymore. Creed Whittemore, my guy. Yeah, offense.
There you go. I like it. I don't know. I don't know if it's the image of what happened in the North Carolina State game a couple of years ago. I just have that like non-conference Power 5 game stuck in my head, and I'm going to say Tulu makes something happen. I don't know if it's offensively or in the kick return game. I think Tulu's going to have just make a big play. So he didn't impress too much last week, but this is the week for him.
Okay.
And then defensively, I'll stay chalk in this one and say Buki Watson makes a play.
Okay. As we discussed last week, special teams players do count player of the week. So I'm gonna go Hayes Hammond. No, I don't want to put that my energy on Kyle Ferry.
So you want to put it on the long snapper?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
When there's problems with the long snapper, most of the time those are, kind of funnier than the kickers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
There you go. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our pick'em. Like I said, we will post that, and so that you guys can interact with that. Maybe we'll have more than just Brooks submitting picks tomorrow. But we do thank you for submitting those, Brooks, even though we didn't ask for them. So speaking of Brooks, he's the only person that sent in an Instagram question. So we're going to read that real quick. We don't like it's the only one. So shouldn't last too long.
Thank you. Thanks
Brooks,
everyone so much for sending them in.
I even had an attention grabber for the post. It was Jaquavius Marks jumping over a phallic cactus. But yeah, Brooks Taylor asks, what game did you enjoy more, LSU Florida State or Clemson Duke? Clemson Duke had sicko vibes. LSU Florida State was, I just feel like was way more entertaining.
I agree.
All right, there we go. Well, that is going to be it for this episode of Going for Two. We're excited for week number 2 of college football. Hopefully, Mississippi State can escape with a win here in Starkville. The weather's going to be good. It's a first night game of the year. Really excited. Me and you are both going to be there, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're excited for that. And until next time, for Hunter 2, I'm Jack Taylor, and thanks for listening to Going for Two.
I'm so uncomfortable doing this. That don't feel right.
What does it even mean?
I don't know.
I'm not for you.
For Jack Taylor, I am Hunter 2.
But only for Hunter 2 am I Jack Taylor.
For Hunter 2, I am Jack Taylor.
For Luke Meyer, I'm Jack Taylor.
They don't know we have technology. Luke.
Do you have the technology to end the podcast?
I could, theoretically. Or I could just restart it.